If you're looking to hardwire your dashcam into your car to free up your 12-volt port, to keep the parking mode battery charged, or just to keep the wires to a minimum, then this video's for you because I'm showing you a step-by-step guide on how to wire a dashcam to your car's fuse box by tapping either a constant power or accessory fuse. I'm hardwiring in the Nextbase 622 GW dashcam with the suction cup mount using their dashcam hardwire kit to tap a fuse in my Nissan NV200 van. And just so you know, Nextbase originally provided the dashcam for me to make a review video a while back, so do check that out if you're interested in a top-of-the-range 4K dashcam, but they haven't asked me to make this video. I just thought it'd be interesting to share a little how-to on hardwiring because it's actually easier than you think. You'll only need a couple of tools to complete this job: a digital multimeter, a screwdriver or socket set, and some trim and panel removal tools. If you want to get the hardwiring kit or a dashcam for yourself, I've got links below as well as ones to the tools too. They're affiliate links which help support this channel at no cost to you. Lastly, before we get going, if you're not sure about doing the job, then do get someone qualified to do it. I'm just sharing how I did it for my van, and all vehicles will be different. This video is for entertainment purposes only. There are 4 main steps to tapping a fuse which we'll cover through the video. Firstly, you'll need to find the right fuses to use. Secondly, you'll need to check which direction the power flows in and out of the fuses so you can put the fuses in the right way. Thirdly, you'll need to insert the fuse taps and fuses. And fourthly and finally, you'll need to attach your hardwire kit to the device. So let's get started. To begin, locate your vehicle's interior fuses, which are usually found around the steering wheel or glove box. Mine are to the bottom right of the steering wheel in my Nissan NV200. As you can see, there are a bunch of fuses in there, some upside down and a load of empty gaps too. I don't have the highest spec of this NV200 van, so a lot of those empty ones are for features I don't have but other models might. On the Nextbase hardwiring kit, you have one wire which needs to be connected to the fuse box, this red wire. It can be attached to either an accessory fuse, one which is only powered when the vehicle ignition or engine is on, or a permanent live fuse, which delivers constant battery power regardless of whether the vehicle is on or off. If you choose a constant power fuse, you don't need to worry about the car battery running down over time. The hardwiring kit has an inbuilt minimum voltage limiter, which cuts the power if it detects the car battery's voltage getting too low and protects it from going flat. Dashcams and other devices such as dashboard consoles might require an accessory fuse or a constant fuse, or both, or like this dashcam, work with either depending on your preference. Be sure to check what your device or hardwiring kit requires before proceeding. To find which fuses you should tap into, you'll need a multimeter set to 20 volts in the DC range. With the engine off and the key out of the ignition, ground the black probe on an uncoated clean bit of metal attached directly to the vehicle, such as a bolt like I've got on my door here. Then work your way around the fuses in the fuse box with the red probe, touching it to the exposed metal dots on the backs of the fuses. If your multimeter shows a voltage, which should be above 12 volts, then you've got a fuse that uses constant power or a permanent live. You can probe either dots on the fuse to find this out, as both will display a voltage if there's one present, as the power flows through the device. Next, it's time to find an accessory power fuse. Chances are if you've found fuses that don't do anything when the ignition is off, then they are accessory fuses. For tapping a fuse, you want to find an accessory fuse which isn't integral to your vehicle's driving functions, such as the audio system. You can find out what circuits your fuses protect by checking out the back of the fuse box cover, which usually has a full list. Once you've found a fuse you like the look of, test it with the ignition off, then put the key in and the ignition on and test again. Hopefully a voltage of 12 plus will register on the multimeter. You can then remove the relevant fuses from the fuse box, and I took a photo of the fuse box on my phone beforehand so that I know exactly what originally went where. Fuses are tightly packed and often in hard to reach places, but many vehicles have a fuse puller such as the one I have tucked away here, which helps with the job. If you don't, gently and carefully using a pair of long nose pliers will do the job. At this point you can see which size of fuse tap fits your vehicle. There are 3 types of fuse tap included in the Nextbase hardwiring kit. Mini, which my van takes, Micro 2 and ATO, which cover the majority of vehicles, though there are 3 others, Low Profile Mini, Maxi and Micro 3, which you may also come across. They each come with a 2 amp fuse in. The next step is to find out which side of the fuse slot the current comes in, as this is important to getting the hardwiring kit working properly. To do this, insert the red probe into one side of the slot you've just removed the fuse from, with the black probe grounded on bare metal again, and then check the other side. For an accessory fuse you'll need the ignition on, whereas the constant battery fuse slot will show power whether the ignition is on or off. Make a note of which side has power and which doesn't, as the fuse taps only work in a specific way. The outer prong is the entry for the voltage, whereas the inner prong is where the voltage exits. That means that the outer prong needs to connect to the side of the fuse slot which shows a power reading, so when inserted the fuse tap completes the circuit. You can now place the fuse you removed from the vehicle into your fuse tap, making sure it's seated firmly for a good connection. It's now time to insert the tap into the vehicle and, with the hardwiring kit to hand and the keys out of the ignition, connect the red tap with the red wire. All the fuse taps I've come across so far have a nice male to female connector, which creates a firm connection and can sometimes require crimping or pressing them together to create a lasting connection. Protecting the connection is also important, and your taps will likely have a plastic sheath or built-in covers, such as I have here, though some require a heat gun to shrink plastic tubing to create a seal around the connectors. Ultimately, you don't want any metal exposed or to be able to become exposed in the future. Be sure to refer to the instructions of your device to find out whether they recommend crimping the connections or the use of heat. The Nextbase hardwiring kit has solid plastic covers which don't require any heat. Before inserting the fuse taps into the vehicle, it's recommended you disconnect the negative terminal of the battery, which I did here. However, if you do this, you'll be resetting your stereo, so will require a radio code on restarting, which is often found in your car manual, but worth checking before you do anything. Ensure that your fuse tap is up the right way you determined earlier, and insert the tap into the slot. If I was to hardwire the dashcam to an accessory fuse, then I would just replace this fuse at the top here. However, for constant power, my only constant battery fuse was in too difficult a position to use because of the right angle of the fuse tap. As a result, I resorted to an empty slot which worked absolutely fine. Again, make sure your tap or taps are in the right orientation, and as you can see from my vehicle, the accessory fuse and constant power fuse need to be in different directions, so there isn't always a set way they should be inserted. Up to this point, we've neglected the second wire coming off the hardwiring kit, and that's the black ground wire. This needs to be slid under a bare metal grounded bolt, and I've found one just below the fuse box here, so I can tighten that in place. Once the device is grounded, the circuit is complete, so if done correctly, the device will start up when you've reconnected the battery and turn on the ignition. If your device requires you to connect to a constant battery fuse, double check that it's got a built-in sleep mode or minimum voltage limiter like the Nextbase hardwiring kit does, otherwise you'll eventually have a flat battery. With the 4 steps to tapping a fuse complete, there's one final thing you'll probably want to do to complete the job, which is routing the wires to your device and hiding them in the car trim. My preference for a dashcam is to feed the wire up into the headliner, along to and down the inside of the door column, and then down to the fuse box where the excess cable could be tied up or taped down out of the way. I've got a link to a set of trim and panel removal tools which won't damage your vehicle in the description below. How you get the trim off differs for every vehicle and depends on where you want to route your wires to, and is a great way to get a neat wire-free car. So that's a brief overview of the steps to hardwiring a dashcam into your car, and hopefully you'll agree it's not too difficult a job and is well worth the effort. If you've got any questions, drop them below and I'll do my best to answer them. And don't forget, I've got links to everything you might need below if you want to do this for yourself, including the Nextbase 622 4K dashcam, which is one of the best you can buy. If you've made it this far, thank you, and be sure to subscribe if you think I've earned it. Thanks for watching.